Okay, so thank you for sharing your time with us this morning to meet one of our local area marketing and networking group members via our Business Insights series. Today we're talking to Amy Taylor. Amy is a productivity coach and she's been a member of our Mountains and Penrith groups for some time. Now, what's a productivity coach? Don't know. Amy, please tell us what a productivity coach is.
I saw that question in the list and I went, huh. So to me, it's the blend of productivity and coaching, and I can answer each of them individually. So we'll break it into two components. So productivity in my world is the art of doing less while achieving more. So it's doing more of what matters, which leads to achievement, and doing less of what doesn't. Now, where the coaching comes in is tapping into things like motivation, understanding ourselves better. It's really common, I did a video this morning on this actually, really common for us to have a misconception about who we are, and getting clean feedback on, well, hang on, you've said now for the last 2 years you're going to write a book, and yet there's no action on that. Maybe that's just me. But the coach becomes a reflector and a guide and a conduit for us to get to know ourselves better. When we know ourselves better, we know even more what matters to us, which means that we can then hone our actions to achieve more of what matters. And so that's the blend of productivity and coaching in my world.
Great. So tell us a little bit about your journey. What inspired you to become a productivity coach?
Yeah, so I've been in direct sales, so think Tupperware, but for card making and scrapbooking for about 16 years, or it's about 16 years ago I started. I haven't been there the whole time. So I did that for about 11 years. And in that space, I was frequently motivating people and reminding them, well, while it's fun to create new designs and play with the products, which is why most people start a scrapbooking business, that's not going to grow your business. So I'd been doing it organically for a long time. I then hit a point of overwhelm in my business and I was lacking the leadership skills. And so I left my business with the idea of starting an online business and never working with people again, because that was what I thought my frustration was. What I realized very quickly about 3 months into my I'm only going to work online and not talk to people is that I like people. I like connecting with people. And as annoying as I'd felt, like as annoyed as I'd felt by my team, I missed the collaborating and connecting with others. So I found a course on coaching, which seemed like a good space to start. And I thought maybe with some training, I would be able to lead more effectively. And that's certainly the way that it's played out. So I've been studying coaching and running my coaching business now for just over 5 years. And the productivity was just a natural, organic. When I looked at all of the areas that I've been studying for years, I've always loved goal setting. I've always been the person in the room that achieves more. I do less and achieve more almost naturally. I think it's just my conditioning. I don't think it's an innate trait. Anyone can learn to do it. But when I was looking at a product to create, a planner seemed like a really good idea. And so I created a planner. And then when I was looking for a theme for my coaching, productivity just sort of seemed to come to the surface. And I think it's probably the area that I still need the most focus on myself. So talking to other people and helping other people tends to help me remember. So I'll say something to a client. I'm like, that was really for me. That was feedback. It's useful for the client as well, but it's often what I need to hear most. And so I stay in this space because I love it and I just can't imagine doing anything else.
So you made a great transition to becoming a people person, very much so.
Yeah.
I guess the pandemic, which has affected many, many people in many different ways, you would have had a great insight through your clients as to what they were doing, how they were being affected. How has it impacted on your business, and have you noticed any trends with your clients?
So in terms of my business, I was already doing all of my stuff online. So my business model didn't shift particularly. What I've noticed with my clients and the students that I work with through other affiliate partnerships I've got with a coaching school is it's really allowed people the space to step back and notice what matters most. So it's really allowed the space for particularly people that were working in businesses and the traditional 9-to-5 office job, they've had to step out of that and work from home. And they're starting to notice the disparities between what they think they want to be doing and what they actually want to spend their time on. So it's been a real eye-opener for people in identifying what matters most to them. So there's things that we've been, I want a better word, but I'm going to go with denied opportunity to participate in. So the things like gym memberships, a whole bunch of face-to-face things. And what a lot of people are noticing is some of them are really missing those things, and that's really honing in how important that was for them. But some people are noticing, actually, I was just kind of doing that because I thought that I should, and I thought that it was good for me, and I really don't miss it at all. I've noticed a lot of people transitioning into the online world in their businesses are finding that they really like that. And some are finding that they really don't. It's just been a really great eye opener and magnifier of what matters most to us, which then allows us to shape our goals and allows us to shape. So when we like what we're doing, we tend to be more productive. So if we know what we like, we tend to follow that path better. So it's been a really great eye opener for what people will follow through with without the boss standing over them, for want of better language, and in their own sort of self-esteem and their own drive. And so that's the biggest thing I've noticed, is that people are amplifying what matters most to them because there's less external factors on them because they've started working from home.
I suppose it's also, I guess, an example of what you yourself went through a few years ago.
Yeah.
Going from, one career change to another in terms of starting your coaching business. You have that experience, you find something because, you end up having to do it, and then you follow that path and it's like, oh, I really like this now. So
yeah,
it's been quite a revelation for people from what I can gather. Okay.
yes,
Now, one of the things we try and do with our insights is to get to know you a little bit better and to look at the other side of what you do. So, for example, what you do in your downtime. Now, I happen to know that you've got some really interesting things that really surprised me when I found out. So I'd love you to share that with us.
So my primary downtime at the moment is my jigsaw puzzle. So I'm doing a 3,000 piece jigsaw puzzle. It's currently taking quite a lot of time. I've reached the sky and the ground. The easy bits are done and I'm now up to the hard bits. So it's taking quite a long time to get pieces in place. So I quite enjoy that. In my lockdown time, when the kids were home, I was looking for a project or something just to keep me occupied. I taught myself using Google and videos to solve the Rubik's Cube. And so I still quite frequently pick that up as it's like almost a self-soothing tool now. It's just, I need something to focus on. It's quite fun. And I must admit that I do tend to quite like binge watching Netflix. So my daughter and I are currently revisiting The Big Bang Theory and The Good Place. They're our top two. And then my other thing tends to be reading. I love books. So I've read a bunch of books or listened to, so I tend to dance between audiobooks and Kindle books, but I do a lot of reading. So this week's theme has been flow and tapping into what motivates us. There's a book called Attributes that I've read, which has been really quite insightful and interesting, and a couple of others. So that's how I tend to spend my downtime. I don't do boredom very well. Like I will always fill my space with something to do.
Interesting. Is there any truth in what I heard that to relieve your boredom, you actually did a gig as a stand-up comedian?
I did. It wasn't necessarily to relieve my boredom. It was so one of the things that I fear most, so the year, I think it was 2019, I had three major things that scared me that I took on. So one was not by choice, it kind of just happened, which was fighting the bushfires. So our property was impacted and our backyard grass was all burnt out. So that was definitely me conquering one of my biggest fears and stepping into what scares me. The one before that was skydiving. So I have a fear of heights, a fear of falling, and a fear of flying. So of course, skydiving just seemed like the thing to do. And so I did that. And then, yeah, comedy, I I was told I remember like almost every day as a kid, I was told, you do realize you're not funny, don't you? And I'd taken that on board and become quite serious and rigid. And so stand-up comedy seemed a way to navigate that. It's one of the most terrifying moments of my life. I remember being backstage, dry retching in the bathroom because it was just so horrifying for me. But it was amazing and it was fun. If you scroll back far enough, the video is on my timeline from forever ago. But it was definitely an insightful experience for me to get to know more about me and my capabilities.
Fantastic. That's quite a journey. I guess getting back to reality now and the situation we all find ourselves in, it's really, really important that business owners are able to maintain their productivity and focus.
Yeah.
What advice can you give that would help people to actually do this?
I think the key point in that is the focus. And so often we can get consumed by being reactive and getting caught up in the whirlwind. So the first piece is to set a daily intention. Know what your focus is. So I use a formula called FROG, but to know, and it doesn't matter whether you use that or whether you use your own, but to know what your intention is for the day, to hone in on what's important, to know what matters to you, and really set that intention cleanly so that you know what you're meant to be focusing on. Now, you may get midway through the day and you may change your focus, and that can happen. But then it becomes a conscious choice to change our mind rather than just getting caught up in what's happening. So the daily intention that links to the bigger picture of having goals and knowing where you're headed. But that daily intention changes everything. And then the second piece is, irrespective of whether you followed through on that intention or not, at least 3 things at the end of the day must be celebrated that you did. So for example, today, I did get 4 pieces in that jigsaw puzzle done this morning, and I'll be celebrating that. Because that's about as good as I'm getting at the moment, is 4 pieces, because it's sky and ground and ridiculous. I showed up for this. I'll be celebrating that. So recognizing the progress that we're making, it's really easy to look at our to-do list or our task list and notice that there's generally at the end of the day, I don't know about you guys, but at the end of the day, mine has more on it than when I started 9 times out of 10. Because new things have cropped up, particularly if I'm working on a big project. I'll start like creating a website. It's like it starts with create website. And then by the end of the day, there's 20 new things that I've realized I need to do to create that website. But recognizing the progress. So set a daily intention in the morning, and at the end of the day, check in, did you follow through on that intention? Even if you haven't, find something to acknowledge and celebrate, because that's how we maintain momentum. Motivation and acknowledgement of progress is how we continue to get up every day and keep showing up. That would be my top 2.
Great. Thank you for that, Amy.
Yeah.
And look, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us and supporting business owners during these very challenging times. If you would like to contact Amy to help you or to help other people that you know, don't hesitate to do so. Just scroll down underneath this video and you'll find Amy's contact details and more information about our services. Again, thank you, Amy Taylor, for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much, Joe. This was fun.